Welcome back to another episode of CineBeans. Today we are reviewing James Gunn's Superman, so let's get into it. So first things first, we're going to hit the spoiler-free review. I just have to say, I am not a Superman fan, and this movie was phenomenal. I enjoyed every bit of it. I feel like we have a comic-accurate Superman for the first time in a long time, and that's not a shot to Henry Cavill's Superman, because I loved Henry Cavill's Superman. Yet, it feels like we were missing just a little bit of something with his Superman, and it's just because of the take that they chose to make. No pun intended there. No rhyme intended there. Henry Cavill's Superman was a more darker take, and for me, I need a Superman who's full of hope. I don't want a Superman that's being held back by his dad to let him die in a cyclone. I want Superman's parents to be like, you have all these great powers, go! Make a name for yourself. Help the greater good. There's a lot you can do. And that's exactly the Superman we got. And James Gunn nails it. I didn't know what to think about him getting like a mainline character. I'm so used to James Gunn taking characters like the Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, the Guardians of the Galaxy, those offshoot, at the time of their development, probably C-tier characters at best, and figures out a way to blow them up into giant franchises. But those are characters that aren't well known. You can do kind of what you want with it, and I didn't know what to expect from Superman, and this man, James Gunn, ripped Superman right out of the comics. That's what it felt like. We didn't have an origin. We're 3 years in when this movie starts, and Superman is just doing his thing, and it's awesome. And it's not just Superman that was great in this movie. His supporting cast is phenomenal. We had a great Lois Lane, a great Jimmy Olsen, an amazing Lex Luthor to go up against. And we also get these less famous superheroes some real good time to shine. The likes of Metamorpho, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, which Mr. Terrific stole the show if you ask me. And we also have another villain, the Engineer, and she's going to get built and offshoot into the Authority, so we'll see how that works out. If the Authority is still even on the table. James Gunn made it very clear that they're very flexible with their release schedules. But this movie does a really good job of getting to the core of what makes Superman great, and that is Superman is the symbol for hope. There's not one moment in this movie where you think Superman's going to give up. He finds a way. He is the Boy Scout in this. He's saving squirrels. He's trying to capture these giant monsters to release them somewhere else where they don't have to be killed. So he's doing everything in his power to keep the peace and make sure both sides somehow come out on top. He's looking for the best case scenario, and I also really enjoyed his interactions with other characters. He's very open with his secret identity, which I found hilarious. Like, he told Lois, he told the Justice Gang in this, or, you know, who knows if they turn into the Justice League or the Justice Society. Every single one of them knows, and it's just comedy how trusting Superman is, but that's who he is as a character. He can also afford to be open and honest all the time because he's freaking Superman. You're not going to just walk up to Clark Kent at the Daily Bugle and get a nice clean shot at the guy. No. As for the story, it's dealing with Superman's first legitimate challenge in his 3-year stint so far. You see him get his butt whooped on camera. You see him finally have a physical challenge matched up with Lex's brilliant mind, which is a combination that shows to be a little too much for Superman at first. But the man finds a way with the help of other people, of course, because even Superman can't do it alone. So overall, if you haven't seen this movie yet, go watch it. Even if you're not a Superman fan, because for me, growing up, Superman was always just kind of there. I can't get behind the guy because to me, it's like, dude, you can do whatever you want. You don't have any limitations, and your limitations is a shiny green rock. I can't relate. I always gravitated more towards Batman and the Flash and Green Lantern. Not that I can relate to them too much either, because they all have their own things. But they felt like they had genuine weaknesses. And Superman doesn't. And in this, it really does a good job of showing even the Man of Steel just can't do it on his own. And I like that, because if the movie was just him being OP and nothing was stopping him, that's not a fun movie to watch. I think if you're on the fence about the Superman character as a whole, I think this movie will win you over. David Cornsweet's phenomenal, so go watch it. And that is a spoiler-free review. Spoilers. All right, you've been warned. We're getting into the spoiler part of the show, of the episode. Let's dive in. All right, in the opening scene, you immediately see Superman getting his ass whooped. That dude got punched from Metropolis all the way to the Fortress of Solitude. Solitude. It's a big hit. And you see Krypto come in and dragging him back to the fortress. Essentially, it's that first trailer that we saw with the teaser. That's literally like the opening of the movie. And you see that this is Superman's first real challenge, is this Hammer of Boravia is what the world sees this as. And Hammer of Boravia is attacking Superman because Superman has gone over to Boravia and the other country that I can't think of the name of and stopped a war between the two. And the Boravians were very upset because in the past, Boravia has been the good guys and the other country has been the bad guys. And that's not the case here. We don't find that out till later. We find out immediately, not soon after this fight, while Superman is healing back up from the fight with the Hammer of Boravia, that Lex Luthor is actually controlling the Hammer of Boravia, and that the Hammer of Boravia is what he has deemed as Ultraman, this ultimate fighter for Lex Luthor and Luthor Corps. So Lex's plan in this whole thing is to get the United States to turn on Superman for stopping this war. And the way that he pitches this to him is that they have created an army that is built to deal with metahumans like Superman. He has Ultraman. He has the Engineer. And the Engineer, by the way, if you don't know who this character is, crazy cool power set. She's like nanites all over the place, can change her hands into weapons at any time. And Superman's goal is just to keep the peace. Why are we fighting a war when we don't need to fight it? That's silly. Let's not do that. And that's how the movie starts. And then we start to go into this build in the middle, and Lex is trying to keep Superman occupied until he can find the right moment to turn the people against him. And he does that by infiltrating the Fortress of Solitude. And everybody's wondering how he gets in there. Well, we'll get into that here in a second. But Lex gets into the Fortress of Solitude, finds these tapes on Clark's parents, his biological parents, and he finds these corrupted files because Superman only got the message of hope from his parents. He never got the full thing. The full thing was corrupted. And it turns out that Superman's parents aren't very good people. They sent Superman to Earth to conquer the planet, have lots of women and lots of babies, and pretty much just repopulate this planet with Kryptonians and rule over all of Earth. And Superman did not know that, nor does he want that. So Lex finds this out and uses this against Superman. And boy, like in real life, the masses turned on him really quickly with just one little piece of information and nothing else to support it. And Lex has finally turned the tide in his favor because now Superman is not the hero that they all thought he was. Instead, they are starting to look at him as a dictator and an alien and a conqueror. So Superman finds out who invaded the Fortress of Solitude, what's happening with him, how'd they get all this information. You have Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen doing their thing, trying to figure out what Lex's real plan is. Eventually, Superman turns himself in to show his innocence, which slowly backfires because Lex takes him into prison with Metamorpho there in the prison with him, and Metamorpho uses kryptonite to keep Superman powerless and at bay. Now, it's a really cool effect that I haven't seen a lot for Superman in this movie that I liked a lot is the kryptonite you actually see poisoning him. Like, you can see the effects of the kryptonite on Superman. I wish they showed that more with Superman, but you could tell it was really sapping the strength out of him. And Lex is essentially trying to get all the information he can out of Superman before he kills him, and he decides that he's going to torture Superman. So he just starts killing off people that Superman saved. Pretty brutal. And by the way, Lex managed to also get his hands on Krypto, which, what a bastard. Krypto's just in like a bubble, just running after like squirrels in the air. Which, by the way, Krypto is like, dude, what squirrels are flying on Earth? You've been on Earth for a good amount of time. What planet are you on with a flying squirrel? Anyways, we're getting off track. So Lois goes to the Justice Gang to try to recruit them to help free Superman. She ends up recruiting Mr. Terrific to track Clark down successfully, may I add. And they find out he's being held in a pocket dimension. Mr. Terrific has an epic, sweet fight scene before they invade, trying to find where Superman is, and they know that they have a limited amount of time to do so. While this is happening, Superman has flipped the script with Metamorpho, has got Metamorpho to help him out because in return, he will help Metamorpho and Metamorpho's son escape with him as well. Metamorpho gives him a nice little power boost with a explosion that imitates the sun's rays, essentially. Superman saves the kid, saves Metamorpho, saves Krypto, and they all manage to escape that zone by the skin of their teeth. This leads to the big finale, where Lois and Jimmy have figured out that Lex's whole plan was to have this war, so when Boravia won, he could take over part of the other country and turn it into his own country. Lexland. He probably had a better name for that. I just think Lexland or Luthopia. Lexopia? Lextopia? Hey, there's options. I don't know how much workshopping he did. He's smarter than me, so I'm sure he had a better name. So Jimmy and Lois are working on that. While they're working on that, Superman has sent the Justice Gang with Metamorpho to the site of where the war is going to begin to help mitigate and stop that war. While that is going on, Superman is going up against Ultraman and Lex Luthor, while Mr. Terrific is trying to stop the world from splitting apart from a dimensional rift, because Lex does not care about anything else but destroying Superman. And it shows very, very much here. So there's an epic fight between Superman, the Engineer, and Ultraman. You think he's almost going to get taken out by the Engineer, but he manages to get out of that bad boy. And then he's starting to solo Ultraman, and the big reveal, which I think almost everyone saw coming. Ultraman is a clone of Superman, but Lex has made it very clear that he's an idiot. And so what Lex does is Lex controls Ultraman. So it is literally the mind of Lex Luthor and the body of Superman against Superman. It is an epic fight. They get to the end there. Krypto helps eliminate Lex from the equation. Superman ends up being able to throw Ultraman into the dimensional rift before the dimensional rift closes, and Superman is safe. And nobody knows what has happened to Ultraman. I can guarantee you we're going to get Bizarro out of that. Technically, that is Bizarro, just going by Ultraman, which, what a tease. But I'm thankful it's not the real Ultraman. Then Superman goes straight after Lex, manages to stop Lex, and you manage to get this wonderful dialogue between the two, where Lex just goes off about how Superman is an alien, he doesn't belong here, he hates him just because he has all these powers, and Lex doesn't. And Superman pretty much is just like, dude, I didn't ask for this. I'm a human just as much as you are. I know I'm not from here, but I'm pretty much one of you. I'm sorry you see it that way, but I'm going to do everything in my power to protect my brothers and sisters here on Earth. And in the end, Lex gets shipped off to Belle Reve. Superman gets the girl, and that's pretty much the end of it. Now, obviously, I missed some parts probably. There was a great part with Clark and his dad that I didn't really go into too much, when Clark goes back to the farm to recharge after the kryptonite poisoning, and he brings Lois, and it's pretty much just Clark's dad being like, hey man, we raised you right. We know who you are. Go show them. All right, now it's time for the cast, and here is the fancy dancy notebook. All right, we're going to just start straight from the top. Superman, played by David Cornsweet. And when I say this guy is Superman, this guy is Superman. He nailed it. He is a dork in all the best ways. I love it. I loved his little sense of humor. I think of when he finally throws Ultraman into the dimension, and Mr. Terrific's like, dude, we gotta go. We got a world to save. He's like, dude, I'm trying. He's just down there trying to deal with a dislocated shoulder. He just has these nice little moments. And what I really have enjoyed with Superman is some might think it's a little arrogant, but this just subtle confidence of some of the lines that he has. For example, when he's got one of those guys from Lex's army that's trying to hit him, and he's like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. It just wrecks him. It's little stuff like that I really appreciate from Superman, because again, it is this, like, it comes off as arrogance, but it's really just a warning. Be like, hey, I don't want to hurt you. You don't have to do this. But if you insist, I'll let you hurt yourself first, and then I'll finish the job. Now, what I wanted to see a little bit more of from Superman is a little bit more of the power sets. I'm hoping we get a little bit more laser eyes. We got a little bit, but not a ton. And I don't feel like we got a lot of the freeze breath either. So we got some cool stuff that we can see more of here in the future. And I would really like, we saw some strength feats too, right? Where he's catching the building and catching the beast's foot. I want to see some more tests of strength as well, which is just, it gives you more to bite off when we get more Superman, which they did announce Man of Tomorrow. But overall, I just really loved this portrayal of Superman, because this felt like Superman to me. This is a guy who sees the best in everybody, and he's really just trying to make planet a better place. He doesn't want to see anybody get hurt because it's not necessary. He truly believes that there are other options and other ways to go. For a guy who is built for war, he would rather talk it out first, and it's a nice little nod to the Boy Scout. He did it phenomenally. So I'm super excited. I think David Cornsweet has the potential to be the best Superman when it's all said and done that we've seen. I know that's saying a lot, but I think he's got the potential to do it. Next, we have Lois Lane, played by Rachel Brosnahan. And again, we nailed it with Lois Lane on this. This felt like Lois Lane. Again, Lois has this confidence that's almost arrogance as well, because she's so good good at her job, and at the end of the day, she just wants answers. She doesn't really care about the politics of it. She might ask you a question just to kind of piss you off and see how you're going to react to it. You even watch her do it in the interview she has with Clark Kent as Superman, where she's kind of needling him a little bit to get these reactions. And he's like, why are you doing this to me? Like, I tried to help these people. And she's like, I'm a reporter. Like, I'm trying to get the full story and I want to know your whole thought process on it. And that's just Lois. Lois is always looking for the truth. And she was such a key factor in this as well. Who would have thought that a newspaper story would have been a good part of why Lex Luthor was taken down? Like, yeah, Superman beat him physically, but she got all the evidence piled up together to put the man away. So she was fantastic. And jumping off of Lois Lane, we're going to go straight into Jimmy Olsen, played by Skylar Gisondo. I probably said that last name wrong. I apologize, Skylar. Again, phenomenal Jimmy Olsen. I love how they low-key made Jimmy Olsen this ladies' man who just gets the ladies, because you're like, well, how do you do it, Jimmy? I'm sitting in the theater, I'm like, how does he do it? He's not a bad-looking dude, but he's not like Ryan Reynolds, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth. He's not like one of the Chris's. He's not David Cornsweet, but he's out there. He's getting all the ladies. And his source is the reason Lex gets busted in the first place. And with Jimmy, specifically, you can go so many different routes, because Jimmy Olsen in the comics, that dude gets experimented on. He gets bullied. And there are some iterations where he's a ladies' man too, but that dude, sometimes he's even portrayed as almost the damsel in distress for Superman to save. And that's not the case here. I really like how they made Jimmy Olsen a strong supporting character for Superman. And he was great too. Then we get to the big bad of it all. We have Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult, and that was perfect. I am over the moon with this casting choice. He was phenomenal. He gets the intellect. He gets the anger, the jealousy, the rage, the cold calculation. He has managed to build a team that wants to help him succeed. Now, obviously, you don't want to piss Lex off, because he'd probably just end you. And they learned that towards the end. Like, he will give up everything to win. Like, Lex will give it all up if he gets the W. This movie does a great job of showing that Lex's intellect alone can give Superman a run for his money. Can you imagine if Lex had Superman's powers? I think he beats Superman. He's gonna outsmart Superman if they're on equal playing field. I don't know about combat-wise, right? But I'm so excited to see Lex actually get into the suit and start throwing some hands too. Do I want Lex to be the main villain of the next movie? I don't think so, but I still want him to be a key part of the movie, because Lex is so essential to Superman's history. I want to see where he goes next. All right, now we're hitting the supporting cast. We're going to the stealer of the show, the man I had no idea if I would like or not. We have Mr. Terrific, played by Eddie Gathegi. Again, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong. This dude was Darwin in X-Men Origins. Totally redeemed. Totally redeemed. Because Darwin was cool. They just killed him off. They killed the guy that can't die. They killed him. Not in this. They're like, hey, you want an actual role that you can keep? Here you go. And they did an excellent job of making Mr. Terrific look awesome. I don't know enough about the character. I haven't seen a lot of the character. I want to see more. James Gunn did a fantastic job of giving this man an entire highlight reel of what he can do. The scene where he goes to help Lois. It's him and Lois. They got to go find the portal to get to Superman. He puts her behind a protective shield, and he essentially wipes out an entire camp of men and armed guards himself. And it's so nonchalant how he does it. He's breaking a sweat. This dude is working smarter, not harder. And he's just so casual about all of it. And then all of them drop down. He drops the shield. And he's like, all right, let's go. And it's just he's a smooth operator. That's what I'm going to say. He's a smooth operator. He's like the Michael Jackson of superheroes in a positive way. And I mean that by like the dance moves. Like he's got the moves. He's got the style. I loved everything about it. And I want to see more Mr. Terrific. And I would love to see where he goes from here. And I think it's so important for Mr. Terrific to get that showcase, because when you look at the rest of the supporting cast, we've seen little bits and pieces of them before, and so we know what we're getting out of them. But with a guy like Mr. Terrific, when you don't know, this scene is so integral and important in this movie for him that he's the star of the show. I also love his line where he's trying to shut down the portal, and one of Lex's guys is he's like, hey, I got the code if you want it. He goes, I don't need the code. I'm Mr. Terrific. It just shows the guy out of the way. It's perfect. It's so good. But anyways, my favorite character in this entire movie, hands down, it's Mr. Terrific. So fantastic. Then we have Guy Gardner, played by Nathan Fillion. And boy, does Nathan Fillion play a guy with a punchable face well. Look, I was unsure about Guy Gardner being played by an older actor, but Nathan nailed it. I loved all of Guy Gardner's constructs because all of them were douchey and annoying. Like if you think about it, when he's with the alien, he picked a construct that would literally just poke at the guy's eye, right? When he's going up against the army, half of them are just middle fingers flying up, flipping tanks. He's such an asshole, and I love it. And they kept the bowl cut because listen, the bowl cut is something that would probably be first to go because you'd be like, oh, like nobody can pull off a bowl cut. It's Guy Gardner. That he has to have the bowl cut. It has to be. It just adds to his character so much, and they did a fantastic job with Guy. Cannot wait to see him in the Green Lantern Corps show. Don't change a thing. He was phenomenal. Then we have Hawkgirl, played by Isabella Merced. She was good. We just didn't get enough of her. And I don't know if that's because we got a lot of Hawkman and Black Adam, and we kind of saw the moveset of Hawkman, and Hawkgirl is essentially the same. And so I don't fully know why we didn't get enough of her. I want more of her on screen. However, bits and pieces, her interactions with the rest of the Justice Gang, especially Guy Gardner, again, was fantastic. We also found out she's not afraid to kill because she dropped the Prime Minister, just dropped him. It's like, you can't kill me. Superman doesn't kill. And she's like, oh, I'm not Superman. Bye. Just gone. Dude's gone. I think the best part of her character was her one-liners, her comebacks. She just had really good zingers. She's gonna get you. But yeah, I wish we got more of her, and I think we will. I think we will moving forward. Then for the final hero on this list, we have Metamorpho, played by Anthony Carrigan. And again, another character that I wanted to see more of. I love Metamorpho's move sets, power sets. He's got some of the coolest capabilities in the comics, and you get to see a little bit of it. However, you don't really get to see him throw down too much. He's got a little bits and pieces in the war, in stopping the war. However, again, it's just we don't get enough of him. And I'd like to see more of him. I think you could get away with a Metamorpho limited series if you wanted to, because he has such a fascinating backstory, and his name is Rex. It's awesome. It's a cool name, Rex. Honestly, he's like an Indiana Jones style character, so I'd like to see more from him. And finally, the character of note, we have the engineer, played by Maria Gabriela de Ferreira, and she was badass. She goes in and she wrecks house. I'm thinking of like the Fortress of Solitude, where she just essentially shuts down Crypto pretty quick. It is not too big of a fight. She almost takes out Superman by just suffocating him from the inside out. We don't know why she hates Superman so much. We know that she was technically enhanced by Lex Luthor, so she is pretty much just full machine, but instead of like a cyborg, it's like nanotech. It's like that one guy from the Terminator who just kind of like, is it the T-3000? He just fluctuates essentially. Anyway, she was awesome. I loved her move sets. The fact that she can just throw razor blades across and they just come back. She has a really cool scene too in the Fortress of Solitude where Lex is walking to the computer and she's keeping everyone off of him and managing also not to hit Lex. The kind of concentration for that is incredible. Now we have my questions. The little things that we think about at the end of the movie and we wonder and we ponder. First, one of the questions that I have, how is Supergirl affected by Superman's family? And what I mean by that, like I said earlier in the video, is that Superman's parents in the DCU are not good people. They wanted Superman to conquer the planet after they lost theirs. Kind of makes you wonder why they lost Krypton. Sounds like them and Zod would get along great. Anyways, I want to know what the effect this has on Supergirl, because Supergirl is a drunk. She's dealing with the aftermath. Is her aunt and uncle the only ones that wanted to conquer other planets? Did her parents want that too? Like, is that a part of her mindset? To like come to Earth or a different planet and come to conquer it? You know, she's clearly not dealing with the death of the planet well. Can't blame her. Probably why she's drunk, and probably why she hasn't trained Crypto very well. She's just not dealing with it. But she had to experience all that. Clark was fortunate enough to just be a baby and not have to worry about any of it. He didn't have any of that tragedy to process. I'll be very curious to see where we're starting off with Supergirl in the Supergirl movie, where she gets to go up against Lobo, which I'm super excited about that. So the next question is, are we getting Bizarro? And the real question should be, when are we getting Bizarro? I'm assuming he's just going to get melted and morphed in that dimension, and when he comes back, his mind's going to be warped and he's going to think he's Superman. That's my guess. We don't have to get creative with it. It's very straightforward. Oh, the portal messed him up. Oh, look, he's back. I'll be curious to see see how they explain the powers, because he has freezing beams and fire breath. So, and then the final question is, what's next? Who's the next big bad? Is it Lex coming back? Are we getting Brainiac? That is my vote personally, by the way. I am tired of Zod. Please do not bring Zod up. If you want to throw Zod in there, have him go up against Supergirl. That's going to be your best bet. I do not want to see Zod versus Superman for a long time. Long time. I'm Zodded out. We've had too much Zod. There's too many Superman villains for us to just go back to Zod all the time, and better ones at that. I would like to see Parasite at some point. I think that would be really cool too. That's more of a personal pick. I think the no-brainer here, though, is Brainiac. I'd like to see where Supergirl goes and ends, because I think Brainiac would be a great villain for both of them to fight. So we'll see how that ends up. I'd like to see what's next with Lex. Lex is going to be behind bars. I don't think that'll last too long, because Lex is very smart and he has lots of money. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. It is time for the rankings. For the numbers, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. This is probably, I can't believe I'm saying this, this is probably my superhero movie of 2025. If you're watching this past 2025, this is one of the best movies in the DCU so far. It's a great movie to kick off the DCU. I think this movie will be looked back fondly. And again, this is probably the most comic accurate Superman that we've had in a long time, a very long time. And I'm super excited to get more of him. Now, for my one word rating, Ultra, because just like Lex Luthor naming his Kryptonian Ultraman just to up Superman, that's what I'm going to do here. This movie is ultra good. Like I said, fantastic. If you knew me well, you would be very surprised that I was this in love with a Superman movie. I cannot believe it. I've been a Marvel boy for a very long time. And for DC, it's Batman and Martian Manhunter. And those are my two dudes. I could not get behind Superman that much, and here I am. I am waving the Superman flag. Is he now one of my favorites? I'm not going to say that, but for the first time, I see why Superman is so important to DC, and I get why people like him, because it's not about his power set why they like him. It is his personality. It is the fact that he's just this force for good, and he just wants the best out of everyone. And don't you want the best out of you? That's gross. We're cutting that. All right, and that ends the review. So on that note, God bless.